Forza Horizon on PlayStation? That is really weird to say, but yes, Horizon could be coming to both PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch 2 in the very near future. You know those comments that you see on every bloody video that exists on Forza Horizon? Oh, when is Forza Horizon 5 going up to PlayStation? And then you think, do you know how to breathe air? Well, weirdly, maybe those people knew something that we didn't. So, let me explain everything the hell's going on. It's so weird to actually be making a video like this. I never expected it. For the past couple of days, the internet has been going mad about this. Apparently, based on these huge reports, games like Starfield, Indiana Jones, Hi-Fi Rush, and even Sea of Thieves could be coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch or the Switch 2. This would completely change the landscape of gaming and essentially make Xbox a mega publisher over anything else. Maybe the sales of games were lower than expected. Maybe they've hit the ceiling for what Game Pass memberships could be on PC and Xbox. So why the hell would you not add other platforms to the mix? If that is your main business strategy, well... And Big Phil Spencer said, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week, where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." Big Phil! What is going... We already know. Here's what I think it means. There's a few ways this could go, and I have some preferences in this. The way I see it going... What the hell? The way I see it going is they're going to be like PlayStation and Sony. So starting by releasing the games on Xbox from Go and PC as they have been, and then a few years later, or maybe a little bit later, they decide to add those games to PC, maybe at the end of life. Like there's rumors for Gran Turismo to come to PC, and I've been replaying Ratchet & Clank on PC, and The Last of Us came to PC. You get the idea. So they could be, instead of doing it PC like PlayStation, bringing to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch a little bit later. And that, I think, is likely what's gonna happen here. So we may see Forza Horizon 5 come to the PlayStation, and then Forza Horizon 6 a long time later. It's ultimately a way of double dipping. You get the big launch, and then you get the PC launch, or in this case, the PlayStation launch, which is a huge platform, a mega platform that's gonna buy the hell out of your games. Again, in some cases, people are gonna buy multiple versions. But then comes the question of, could I actually see the games launching at the same time? Do I see Xbox becoming mega publisher and nothing else? Yes. However, I see that more as a long-term plan than anything else. I did not that this thing's built properly. Damn! I did a good job. I just stuck the power in. So games like Indiana Jones, I definitely see this happening, launching at the same time. This is an IP that doesn't necessarily need to be exclusive. It's not a console seller. To be honest, I couldn't give a shit about Indiana Jones. For those games, I definitely could see day one. But when it comes to system sellers like Forza Horizon and things such as Halo, which has always been a mega IP for Xbox, I see those maybe coming a little bit later. We could get a mixture of the two formats, as I've been mentioning in this video thus far, but that's not all my thoughts. Essentially, I don't see them trying to kill off Xbox systems completely, in the short term at least. Will they launch Xbox games everywhere, or will they only come via Game Pass? This, I thought, was probably one of their potential big brain moves. Basically, could they become the Netflix of games? That's what they want to become with Game Pass, ultimately, right? That's the big plan. It would be a super interesting move, and it would be the first games Netflix, making it maybe so that there is genuinely no purchase possible, only accessible via Game Pass. Now, I personally would absolutely fucking hate this, but I don't really see that as a reason they wouldn't do it. It's a pretty smart move because Game Pass has got some very good press behind it. Everyone loves the value of Game Pass. And ultimately, if you're here to test out games, it's not a bad idea. But if you're someone like myself, I don't particularly like the idea. I like the idea of owning my games. And ultimately, one of the things that I've been doing recently is collecting 4K Blu-rays and DVDs, which is something I never thought I would do, and ripping them and putting them on a Plex server, but hey, it's for me. I still got the physical copies in case my server dies. I've got proper backup of them. and then I get to enjoy the convenience of just clicking on the one I want to see. But my thoughts on it are besides the point. I'm not the majority in the situation. I know that. Ease of access is king, and ultimately that's why I buy most of my games on the stores. And if I really, really like it, I'll buy a physical copy as well. But I kind of see this as a very potential route for Microsoft. There's a few reasons to why I think that. One of them being they've done a few anti-consumer things in the past, and ultimately what they want is to completely get away from physical copies. They don't like doing physical copies. They completely got rid of their physical copy department in these recent layoffs. Microsoft, all of us know that hardware exclusive consoles, it's a time-limited business. We know the format is changing. Your music, you don't buy it. Your videos, you don't buy it. Your games, well, it's just the next step. It's the biggest entertainment industry to exist in terms of how much money it makes. So why the hell would you not follow suit if the technology is getting better and better? Streaming, of course, is one of those routes, but I also think just ultimately spreading your games across multiple platforms. ARM processors are incredible and getting even more incredible. Look at Apple's hardware. For a genuine insight, most of my operation on this channel is done by Mac because it is better in a laptop than hardcore desktop computers. If we can find the same way for games to exist on ARM hardware, imagine portable consoles running the games natively with no effort, no sweat. It would be battery for days. They would genuinely last forever. We could also talk about how Xbox literally almost killed their brand by talking about TV for the majority of their events, announcing that the Xbox One would require an internet connection. Like, these things stick in people's heads. But the Xbox One's original plan was to require an internet connection to even turn the console on, or the refreshed Xbox One that has no disk drive, meaning that there will be no Xbox console to exist with a disk drive. Everyone was pissed. It's also pretty obvious for everyone that Game Pass has become their focus of their business in every single way. The gaming structure and how games are made for Xbox. I mean, they started buying publishers. Buying up all these publishers, again, in my personal opinion, was a terrible, terrible idea for the industry. But if they become a mega publisher themselves and create Xbox as a publishing brand, well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? It lines up. And this ultimately doesn't stop at PlayStation. We already spoke about Nintendo, but think about the Apple Vision Pro. Think about how Mac OS is becoming better and better at game. Where is the ramp? Why would you ruin the ramp like that? I will do it again. But then better support on iOS and Android, properly doubling down and creating proper games, not like Forza Street. That was So what about competition? This is one of the potential actual realistic negatives of the whole situation. If Microsoft jumps out completely from Xbox, or eventually does so, or that is the plan, in terms of hardware, PlayStation gets to remain top dog and dominate even more so, and that's not a good thing. No one brand manufacturer of consoles, hardware, anything, games should exist on their own. So I'm kind of disappointed about this show. I expected obviously all this depends on the path that Xbox actually takes. If all games or all Game Pass only or delayed launch. But I personally don't think it means that PlayStation will dominate the whole console space, especially yet. I think Xbox is going to stick around creating hardware. Windows exists, and that is ultimately the biggest competitor. Everyone eventually wants to switch to PC. They dream of it because there's so much more you can do. But then hell, think about Nintendo. They still exist, and who's saying that newcomers won't arise? Microsoft is trying to see, in my opinion, it's them versus Apple, or it's them versus Google. Google almost jumped into the industry and would have done incredibly, incredibly well if they pushed it a little bit better in terms of YouTube and stuff. I have opinions on that. I love the streaming. I think it was the best streaming service, and now it's gone. As I mentioned earlier, I think dedicated console gaming hardware is time limited. I think PCs and phones and everything are going to get so small and powerful that it just doesn't make sense, especially if you know for the last 2 generations have struggled to really gain some traction. I actually kind of think of this more of a Twitch move than anything else. For those that don't know, Twitch for the longest time has had really aggressive, stupid contracts that essentially hindered them. They had to pay for exclusivity in terms of streamers, and instead they realized that no, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. We should open it up. Everyone can stream everywhere, but they will see that Twitch is the best streaming platform for viewers, the best streaming platform for everything, and maybe people will come over to Twitch. Maybe that's the route Microsoft is taking. Give the better experience, make the hardware better, at least in the short term. But it opens up things like crossplay, cross-save, so that if you were to jump to Xbox, well, ultimately, you can take your saves with you and also not leave your friends behind. But they have these cool features that you can't get on PlayStation, or the cool games that you can't get on PlayStation. It's incentivizing it. And to be honest, it's kind of hard to say that it'll actually do any damage to the competition at all. PlayStation has been enjoying an incredible lead, an incredible domination for the last 2 generations. It's kind of not good in terms of, well, it allows them to do some pretty crappy practices. Now, they, for example, have locked disk drives behind an authentication service, and well, there's microtransactions up the wazoo, and they're re-releasing of games months later as a remake. But once again, they deserve, in a way, that incredible game that they did, just like Microsoft did with the 360. But towards the end of the PS3 generation, for those that don't know, PlayStation, it took ahead, and they did that by releasing incredible games and ultimately making like a long-term plan with the PlayStation 3. Microsoft came out before PlayStation, that's why they had that lead, but then PlayStation doubled down on making impossibly crazy, stunning games, and of course the hardware of the PS3 left more room to improve over the years and therefore became the more powerful system. Okay, so ultimately I feel mixed on the whole competition situation. Overall, I think this is a really great thing. And even if PlayStation were to do the same, PlayStation games eventually coming to Xbox, that is not a bad thing in any way. It kind of opens the door for that potentiality in the future. Last of Us on your Xbox Series X. That's really, it's just weird. It's weird to say. But overall, this is a really great move, unlike my driving, for choice. For the consumer, choice is good. Choice is how we remain king. More players playing more games, that is what it's all about. And also bringing competition to Sony's own doorstep. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments, smash like, and check out these! Probably something related to this one.